Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question, I believe, for Dr. Romine. So we have this, if we looked at the negative side of cybersecurity and all the things that are happening, the attacks from other governments and even in the private sector, and things that are all going on, it seems like, just from what I've heard today, that that's an issue that's moving at light speed. And yet we're not here in this body known for moving at snail speed. And I guess my question, you had testified that there have been 3 modifications in 30 years of the document that pretty much tells you what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. And so we're walking along, and yet we have something moving at 3 times 10 to the 8th meters per second. And so my question, I believe, is there an infrastructure that you're a part of and others are a part of, have been testified? We got this whole list of acronyms of people, of organizations that are working on this. Is that infrastructure that's there combined fast enough and good enough to catch it?
Thank you for the question. Let me address it in this way. One of the reasons that NIST is as effective as it is in this space is our deep and long-standing partnerships with the private sector, the folks who are moving at light speed. And so I think the idea that we maintain that connection with them, that we provide input to them on priorities that the federal government has, that they provide us with a partnership working collaboratively on solving some of these really challenging technical problems in security, frankly, I think is the only way that we can maintain the kind of pace and to anticipate some of the challenges that we have down the road to remain relevant. We have deep technical expertise ourselves, but we rely entirely on that connection that we have with industry and with academia to maintain our awareness and engagement at the speed that's necessary.
Do you think that there is too many or too few kingdoms that are addressing this issue, or do they, maybe if they're too many, are they bleeding over into each other and maybe doing things that the other might be doing?
Well, I'm not exactly sure how to interpret your question, but
I'm only looking at the structure to see if this is the right structure or there should be something else.
Oh, I see.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Right. Yeah, I can really address only NIST's role with regard to how we provide guidance and standards in this space, and I think the statutory role that we have is essential for us. It's You alluded to the fact that there...
Is it more defensive in that the agencies, let's say the federal agencies, do they have to come to you before you give them, or are you aggressive in...
No, we have partnerships. I alluded to the partnerships with the private sector, but we also have strong engagement in the public sector as well with other federal agencies and even with state and local governments in some cases. From my perspective, you alluded to the fact that there are only 3 updates to the governing legislation of FISMA in the last 30 years. I view that in many ways as a strength because the legislation actually sets the structural, the very high-level components, and if that were to change rapidly, I think we would be it would be much more difficult for us. Whereas putting the structures in place and providing roles and responsibilities clearly in legislation gives us the opportunity to then operate effectively in that structure.
Thank you very much. That was helpful. Yield back.